All right. This way I can differentiate between the videos. Okay. All right. We're going to do a fun modification to the Judy. Try that again. I had hair in my mouth. We're going to do a fun modification to the Judy crossbody. What that looks like is this is actually glow vinyl, and it is not attached all the way around. It is actually, I made it into a hidey pocket, so you can stick whatever you want in there if you want to. So in order to do this, I'm going to walk you through what you need. I'm only going to show you how to construct the front panel. The rest of it is made exactly the same way as the traditional Judy. So make sure you check out that video as well. So let's get started on making our hitchhikers. For the hitchhikers, I'm going to recommend that you grab your front panel and your matching lining. Remember to use your exterior as your template when you're cutting out that lining. You're also going to want to grab some parchment paper. And then you're going to want to grab your ghost. Take your time when you're cutting this out. This is probably the most time-consuming part of the entire project. And then grab some stabilizer or interfacing. I will be using Decaville Light. And it's going to go on the front of the ghost and not the back. So I will be sewing the back to the front panel, not this. I'm also going to recommend you grab some tweezers. So with that, let's just go ahead and just jump right in. So I'm sure you see the marks I already have drawn on the back here. So this mark here is a 1/2 inch from the edge. That is where we are going to be sewing. So you're going to want to grab your front panel and then maybe a little bit of double-sided tape. I would recommend something thin. So maybe 1/8 of an inch probably would be best. And I'm going to put it just a little bit right here just to help hold it in place. Because ultimately, if you sew it too low, you're going to want to be able to move it. And you don't want to put it too high because then it affects your pocket opening. So this is what it looks like. So here's your hat for your ghost. Oh, well, I should also say, if you haven't already, make sure you find your centers for the top and the bottom. I should go ahead and do that so I don't forget to do that. That was probably a little too much, but it's for video purposes, so whatever. All right. Now, your seam allowance for the Judy is 1/4 inch, so you already want to try to keep this out of your seam allowance, which its size is already pretty close at doing. And then I like to raise it up a little bit on the bottom, just so it's got a little bit of an overhang on the top. And then I will press here. Now I'll go back over that line that I drew. So this is a 1/2 inch away. And you only want to be a 1/2 inch. You don't want to get any closer, because what you're going to do later is you're going to pull this away so that you can top stitch the front to it. So 1/2 inch is good. So I will be top stitching, or I'm sorry, I will be sewing. I won't be doing this one, so ignore this line. But I will be back stitching really good from here. I will go all the way around to here and then back stitching really good there, so that that is good and secure. So that double-sided tape is going to hold that in place. And then I will also go ahead, while I've got the iron warmed up, I'm going to adhere the...
What's the movie called when I watched last?
While the iron is hot, I'm going to go ahead and interface my Decaville to my exterior. You want to make sure you give that good time to adhere. I think Decaville is about 30 minutes, so go ahead and set that to the side so it can do its cool down phase. So I'm going to go ahead and take you to the machine and we're going to sew this on. So I'm just going to start right here and I'm going to backstitch really well. Make sure that I keep my seam allowance everywhere. Ooh, that didn't work. And then I'm just going to go all the way around. And this creates a nice pocket. So there's your pocket, ready to go. If you want to, you can add some extra stitching here just to make sure, but I backstitched pretty good for this video. It's up to you how you want to do it. Now, what I recommend doing, adding a little bit more sturdy double-sided tape along the entire body of this. Make sure you can see. Not necessarily in the seam allowance, but if it gets in the seam allowance, you're fine. Okay? Because you don't want that front panel to move. Then you're going to line your front panel up with your back panel. Just take your time. Aren't they cute? Now, because this is a really soft specialty vinyl, I worry about my dog feed teeth. Now, if you've got super smooth teeth and you don't have to worry about it, that's great. I worry about it. So I will be putting it face down on some parchment paper just so the dog feed teeth doesn't tear into my really soft vinyl. I'm also going to be leaving my threads long. And then I'm just going to pick a flat spot, just rolling the front panel back. And then I'm going to do a top stitch of 1/8 of an inch, and I'm going to go all the way around. This is where having coordinating thread is really important for both top and bottom. And yes, I am doing the easy part first because I'm not ready for a shot. When I did this the first time, I didn't give myself 1/2 inch, so I'm telling you to give yourself 1/2 inch. Your girl Nefarious said some words that were not ladylike. Pretty sure YouTube would ban me. Alright, then once you start getting to the curves, I'm not sure if you can see that I'm starting to hit some of these curves. This is when you want to really start slowing down. You can hand crank. I will be hand cranking a good part of it, especially when I start getting into the fun and funky areas. Then I'm going to pull these threads to the back. And then I'm going to tie them off. One more for good measure. I'm going to give them a snip, snip. And then I'm going to lightly bat them with a lighter. Alright, so if you wanted to go around and just kind of do a quick check, make sure all of your edges lined up. You want to do this again when you take the paper off. I got a little bit off here. You're going to want to use a really sharp blade, not scissors, like an X-Acto knife to kind of level that out. If you so choose. You don't have to, but if you so choose to want to take a knife to it, you can. I mentioned a pair of tweezers. This is where having tweezers is going to come in handy. You don't want to just rip, okay? You don't want to undo or loosen any of that pretty top stitching you just did. So you want to take your time going around. I mean, I'm going to rip that, but that's not near my top stitching.
Mommy, a trash can fell down outside in the grass.
Okay. Giveaway or sell, I would definitely be taking an X-Acto knife and rounding out some of this back overhang right through here, making sure that's really pretty. Didn't do too bad along the circular edge here, but like the arm here's got a little bit here, so I would definitely be taking a knife to that to make that. But then after that, I would take a lighter and I would be singeing that edge a little bit because there's some like hair from cutting that vinyl. And then for a more professional look, I would be edge coating that. So depends on how you want to finish that up, but that is how you attach your friendly ghost, and you got your little pocket. So from here, if you were worried about attaching your lining, you would just attach it like you would normally do. You would clip all the way around, like so. And then you would baste it on at 1/8 of an inch, just like you would normally do for the Judy. And then you could just pull that out of the way. Because there is so much give, with me having you do a 1/2 an inch, I gave you a lot of give there. So you're able to pull that out of the way, which will be really good when you attach the bag, or attach it to the gusset of the bag. So I hope this video has been helpful. I can't wait to see all of your friendly ghost Judys out in the wild. So for now, ta-ta, and I'll see you around.